Okay, when we begin an exam, when we look at the reading, the first thing we need to do is we need to get an overview. We need to get a feeling for the article. We need to know the basics of the article. And then we need to think about, are we comfortable with this article? Do we have a lot of information? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the title. It says here, The Risks of Cigarette Smoke. So immediately, I'm going to think to myself, what do I know about the risks? Well, I know that cigarettes are poisonous. They have poison in them. They have chemicals. I know that there's different types of cigarette smoke. There's the cigarette smoke that a smoker takes into his or her lungs. And then there's what they call secondhand or passive smoking. And I'm also aware that in today's world, they also have what's called third-hand smoke. So I do have some background. I do know something about the risks of cigarette smoke, so that will help me. So I'm going to choose to investigate this further. I'm going to read, very quickly, I'm going to read the introduction, and I'm going to see what they say. And it's clear to me they're giving a history. Discovered in the early 1800s and named nicotine. The oily essence, now called nicotine, is the main ingredient of tobacco. Nicotine, however, is only a small component of cigarette smoke, which contains 4,700 chemical compounds, 43 cancer-causing substances. And in recent times, scientific research has been providing evidence that cigarette smoking increases the risk of developing fatal medical conditions. So the introduction is giving me kind of an overview of the article that, listen, cigarette smoking is bad, it's got chemicals, it can cause fatal conditions. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the topic sentences to see what each paragraph is going to talk about. That's very important because I need to know when I look at a question, I need to know which paragraph I should look in. This is one of the most important aspects of being successful on the IELTS exam, is to get an overview, look at the topic sentences, and know when you read a question, you need to have a good idea which paragraph the answer will be in. This will save you time. It's very important. So let's look at the topic sentences. Okay, it says, in addition to being responsible for more than 85% of lung cancer, smoking is associated with cancers of, amongst others, the mouth, stomach, kidneys, and is thought to cause about 14% of leukemia and cervical cancers. Okay, so this topic sentence tells me it's going to be about diseases. So if there's a question about diseases or a disease, I'm going to go to this paragraph. Now I'm going to do an overview of the next paragraph. Passive smoking, the breathing of the side stream smoke from the burning of tobacco between puffs or the smoke exhaled by a smoker, also causes serious health risks. Okay, so this is going to be about passive smoking. Passive smoking means that you're breathing somebody else's smoke. So any question that has to do with passive smoking, I'm going to come to this paragraph. Let's look at the next one. As an illustration of the health risks, in the case of a married couple where one partner is a smoker and one a non-smoker, the latter is believed to have 30% higher risk of death from heart disease because of passive smoking. So this paragraph is going to get more specific about passive smoking. For example, it's saying that the partner, the husband or wife of a smoker, is in more danger than the actual smoker. So the non-smoker, is believed to have a 30% higher risk of death from heart disease because of passive smoking. So this is more information about passive smoking. I see some interesting numbers. I'm going to notice those numbers. Look at that, 20 years, 17%, 30%. These would make good answers. Okay, I'm going to look at the next paragraph. A more recent study by researchers at the University of California in San Francisco has shown that secondhand cigarette smoke does more harm to non-smokers. So this is more about a study in regard to the harm to non-smokers. So this is about a recent study. So any questions about a recent study would be answered here. That's very important. This will save me time because I can go right to the paragraph. The report, published in the Journal of American Medical Association, was based on the researchers' own earlier research, but also includes a review of studies over the past few years. Okay, so this paragraph, the last paragraph, no, pardon me, it's not the last paragraph. This one talks about, and here's the key, earlier research. So any questions about earlier research would be here. Let's look at another one. The researchers criticized the practice of some scientific consultants. Okay, so here, this paragraph is going to deal with people who are criticizing or saying negative things about the research, which is very common, that if someone does research, that somebody else will criticize it and say that the research really wasn't done properly. Okay, there's some interesting numbers: 60,000, 30,000, 60,000. Okay, so those are important numbers. And the study argues that the type of action needed against passive smoking should be similar to that being taken against illegal drugs. So this one, the study argues that, so this deals with the concept of action. So if there were a question about what action can or should be taken, I might go to this area. That's very important. So I've gotten an overview of the article by looking at the topic sentences, by looking at the title, and by reading the introduction. I have a good feeling for the article, which means that when I look at a question, I will have a better idea of where to find the answer. Okay? For example, if they ask me about passive smoking, the answer might be in this paragraph, or this paragraph also deals with smoking, passive smoking. If they're talking about a question about the University of California or a recent study, I'm going to go to this paragraph. Okay, this is a critical, very, very important aspect of the IELTS exam, is to get an overview and to know exactly what the article is about by looking at topic sentences, by underlining key words, numbers, names, places, anything that seems interesting to you. You should do that, and you'll have a much better chance.